Zimbabweans have been debating on social media on whether they can access the voters' roll as part of their democratic rights ahead of the general elections expected by August this year. Legislators from the rival political parties sparked the latest debate when they demanded the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission hands over the voters' register for their proper analysis of the preliminary delimitation report, defining boundaries of the parliamentary constituencies and council wards. But the legislators still proceeded with the analysis of the report without the rolls. Who can access the voters' roll? The Zimbabwe Electoral Act describes the voters' rolls as a public document which shall be open to inspection by the public free of charge during ordinary office hours at the office of the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission or the registration office where it is kept. All voters have a right to inspect the register to ensure that their details are correctly captured. Where can the registers be inspected? The law says ZEC shall keep at least one copy of every voter's roll at its head office and at least one copy of each ward and constituency voter's roll at all the Commission's office within the constituencies concerned. Is it true that only contesting candidates and parties can get the copies? It is not true that the provision of the voters' roll is only limited to candidates and political parties. Section 21 of the Electoral Act 2013 says ZEC shall provide any person with a copy of the voters' roll, either in printed or in electronic form, upon request and payment of a prescribed fee. As detailed in Statutory Instrument 145 of 2022, Electoral Voter Registration Amendment Regulations 2022 No. 1, voters can access both full or part of the voters' roll. How much does it cost? The current fees for electronic copies are polling station costs, 10 United States dollars, ward costs, 15 United States dollars, constituency costs, 50 United States dollars, provincial costs, 150 United States dollars, and national costs, 200 United States dollars. A hard copy of the monochrome copy of the voters' roll shall be in 1 United States dollars per page of the national voters' roll, a polling station voters' roll, a ward voters' roll, or a constituency voters' roll, whichever one is sought. How long does it take to get a copy? Section 21 of the Electoral Act, Chapter 213, does not specify the period one should get the voters' roll after making a request. The section says that ZEC should provide the voters' roll within a reasonable period of time. In cases where ZEC has no office in the constituency concerned, the constituency register shall have charge and custody of the ward and constituency voters' roll for his or her constituency, and shall keep at least one copy of the consolidated national voters' roll at the ZEC head office. What information is contained in the voters' roll? ZEC says the voters' roll shall have names of all registered voters who may vote in a ward and constituency with the voters' first and last names, date of birth, national registration number and sex, the place where the voter ordinarily resides, and such other information as may be prescribed or as the Commission considered appropriate. Are political parties entitled to get copies of the voters' roll? Yes, they are. ZEC has a responsibility to provide political parties contesting in elections with a copy of the roll for the prescribed fee, but only after an election has been called. Who else is entitled to the voters' roll? ZEC is obliged within a reasonable period of time to provide any person who requests it and who pays the prescribed fee with a copy of any ward or constituency voters' roll, either in printed or in electronic form as the person may request. When should ZEC furnish the roll to candidates? Section 21 of the Electoral Act, Chapter 213, says within a reasonable period of time after nomination day in an election, the Commission shall provide a. Free of charge to every nominated candidate, one copy in electronic form of the voters' roll to be used in the election for which the candidate has been nominated, and at the request of any nominated candidate and on payment of the prescribed fee, one copy in printed form of the voters' roll to be used in the election for which the candidate has been nominated. What are the offences associated with the voters' roll? Section 21 of the Electoral Act, Chapter 213, says any person who, having been provided with the voters' roll in terms of the section, a. alters the voters' roll, that is to say, edits any name from, adds any name to, or otherwise alters the voters' roll, with the intent to misrepresent any person, or without the prior written consent of the Commission, makes use of the voters' roll for commercial or other purposes unconnected with an election, shall be guilty of an offence and liable to a fine not exceeding level 10 or to imprisonment for a period not exceeding 5 years, or to both such a fine and imprisonment. What is the penalty for offences? Voters' roll offences attract penalties of fines or imprisonment for a period not exceeding 5 years, or both such fine and such imprisonment.